A British billionaire and his Thai wife were discovered buried on their family property, close to a duck enclosure, which shocked the town. The duck pen was located on the land. Amazingly, all of their valuables were preserved, with the exception of a recently acquired pickup vehicle, which was the only thing that was gone. The cops spotted two unknown individuals breaking into the property after studying the video from the surveillance cameras. One of the individuals drove the pickup truck away before vanishing. The investigation had reached a point of no return when a neighbor made a startling allegation. After the identity of the perpetrator was disclosed, the community was taken aback since the suspect was known to be a kind person who often went to temples. Who was responsible for the murder of the British rich couple, and what kind of resentment did they have for them? Let's investigate this heinous act, shall we? Welcome to Unseen True Crime Stories HQ. I thank you, my viewers, most especially my subscribers, for your support as we keep improving and bringing daily told and untold true crime stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It was on September 19th that this real-life incident occurred in Phrai Province, which is located in northern Thailand. Millionaire couple Alan Hogg and Suddaen had booked a meeting with friends in Chiang Mai. However, when the pair failed to show up to the meeting and could not be contacted by phone, suspicion developed among their acquaintances. A British native, Alan Hogg was noted for always being prompt at social functions. If he couldn't go, he would undoubtedly warn his pals many days in advance so they could change their plans. After waiting for many days with no sight of Alan and his wife, and with phone calls ringing but unanswered, the group of friends got more anxious, believing something had happened to the pair. One buddy offered to visit their villa in Phrai Province to check on them. Arriving to Alan's huge property near Phrai on September 23rd, the buddy investigated the home but found no indication of the couple inside. Alan's phone was still charging, while clothing and bags remained intact, suggesting the pair hadn't left the residence. The buddy also noticed the pickup vehicle was vanished from the garage. After a thorough check, the buddy noticed bloodstains spread throughout the dressing area that hadn't been cleaned. Fearing the worst, the buddy quickly contacted the police to report the event. Police in Phrai Province soon arrived to the site, gathered testimony, and initiated an investigation. Alan Hogg and his wife resided in a 3-story home built on a huge 32-acre estate. Besides planting fruit trees, the couple also cultivated ducks and fish, which made the police search more hard due to the breadth of the property. Additional police were called to the area to aid with the investigation. One officer spotted a newly excavated and refilled piece of dirt in the orchard near a duck pond. This feature was exceedingly unique, since no other portion of the garden showed symptoms of being disturbed. The police then dispatched sniffer dogs to investigate. Upon arriving in the questionable spot, the dogs started barking constantly. Suspecting that the remains of the affluent couple may be buried underground, the investigating team hired an excavator to excavate. After almost 2 hours of excavating on the Hogg property, authorities eventually uncovered the couple's remains, buried 2 meters underground near the duck pond. The murder scene instantly deteriorated into turmoil, with many family members and acquaintances of the couple shocked by the revelation. The victims' remains were eventually taken to a forensic facility to ascertain the cause and time of death. Meanwhile, another police team carried out investigations, gathering evidence and testimony from persons associated with the victims. Robin Hogg, the couple's daughter, went from the UK to Thailand after learning of her parents' death to aid with the inquiry. Alan Hogg was originally from Edinburgh, Scotland. While traveling in Thailand, he fell head over heels in love with a local lady called Suddaen. Alan was a well-known engineer and businessman. However, he quit as director of the specialty dry cleaning firm Clayful, situated in Bonnyrigg, near Edinburgh, in July 2017. He had owned 57.5% of the firm's shares and was described as the single person with substantial control of the business until it was sold to Johnson Service Group that same month. Additionally, he ran another firm named Sherwood Edinburgh, which was also sold to another party. Alan and his wife Suddaen regularly went back and forth between the UK and Thailand. The couple also had another residence in Australia, where they regularly vacationed during the summer. To inhabitants of Phrai Province, Alan was seen as a rich man who loved the calm, serene life of the countryside. Since 2014, The couple had formally relocated in Thailand and erected a 3-story house on their wide property, replete with a swimming pool and a chicken farm. The gruesome murder of Alan Hogg and Suddaen, whose remains were buried in their yard, stunned the tiny rural town in northern Thailand. Since the crime involved a foreign individual, Thai authorities felt enormous pressure to find the offender. Forensic investigations indicated that Alan died from 2 gunshot wounds, while Suddaen was slain with a wrench. The couple's time of death was found to be approximately September 18th, one day before their arranged rendezvous in Chiang Mai. The fact that the murderer buried the corpses on their own land made authorities assume the culprit was someone they knew. Unable to take the victims elsewhere, the killer presumably opted to bury them immediately close to the home. Suddaen's family characterized Alan as a nice and helpful guy who regularly provided them money during rough times. Meanwhile, Nod was renowned as a kind-hearted and compassionate lady who accepted responsibility for caring for her crippled younger brother. Despite being married to a rich man, Nod never came off as haughty or pompous. Locals stated that Alan and his wife had no disagreements or disputes with anybody in the vicinity. Upon checking cameras inside and outside the home, investigators instantly identified a critical lead. The guy observed driving Alan's recently acquired white Ford Ranger pickup vehicle away was Warut Satchakit, 63, Nod's elder brother. Police soon initiated a search for Warut to interview him, but he had gone from Phrai province. When neighbors realized that Satchakit was the person police were chasing, many voiced disbelief, since he was regarded as a gentle guy. He was regularly spotted assisting neighbors and working at a temple. Furthermore, the thought that Satchakit could kill his affluent sister and brother-in-law appeared unlikely, since he had worked with the pair for almost 20 years. Despite widespread suspicion, police continued further with their hunt for Warut Satchakit, since he had fled along with the victim's car. However, several of Nod's relatives confirmed the police's allegations, alleging that the connection between Satchakit and the couple was not as peaceful as it looked. Alan Hogg was a vibrant guy who, with his wife, had owned a restaurant and a laundry company before returning to farming. Since the couple established their poultry farm, breeding ducks and geese in Phrai, the connection between them and Satchakit has increasingly worsened. As a European, Alan Hogg had high standards when it came to employment. He frequently seemed critical and unsatisfied with his brother-in-law's work habits. Meanwhile, Satchakit, being older, worked at a slower pace and lacked the efficiency of others. Additionally, Satchakit was jealous of his sister living in a well-furnished 3-story house, while he stayed in an old wooden home. On September 15th, Nod visited her younger brother and complained about their elder brother ignoring his job and becoming more difficult to cope with. Moreover, if the couple sought to offer him feedback, Satchakit would fight back, saying he was correct. Frustrated with his refusal to adapt, Nod and Alan asked that Satchakit leave their property. Based on evidence from the younger sibling, the authorities were even more certain that Satchakit was the major suspect. However, considering his age, it seemed doubtful that Satchakit could have single-handedly killed the couple and buried their remains so quickly. Police thought that he had accomplices who aided him in this heinous act. Furthermore, evidence from the murder scene indicated bloodstains left on the sink, the floor, and in the garage. They also uncovered a wrench that had been exceptionally cleansed of oil and debris, leaving it oddly shiny. Believing the wrench to be the murder weapon used to kill Nod, authorities submitted it for forensic processing, which confirmed their suspicions. Additionally, CCTV evidence indicated that on September 18th, a different guy came at the property, and it was Satchakit who met him. However, when the two guys departed, the CCTV cameras did not record any additional photos of Alan and Nod. From this data, authorities assumed the two unusual guys were collaborators who helped Satchakit kill and dispose of Alan and Nod. To apprehend Satchakit, police were determined to trace down the stolen pickup vehicle he had taken from the victim's house. After days of investigating, detectives learned that the vehicle had been sold to a local citizen living in the neighboring hills for 200,000 baht. However, that individual had resold the vehicle to a guy from Laos for 430,000 baht. The guy from Laos subsequently took the vehicle to Arawa on a business trip. Upon learning about the murder case and the vehicle police were hunting for, the guy willingly gave the truck over to authorities. After retrieving the car, authorities also arrested Satchakit. However, to their amazement, He denied murdering his sister and brother-in-law. Satchakit stated that he had no role in the killings of his sister and her spouse. Without clear proof, and with CCTV just showing Satchakit driving away, authorities were unable to apprehend him. After Satchakit was granted bail, authorities were obliged to release him. The investigation struck a dead end, leaving authorities highly anxious about their failure to catch the culprit. Since the vehicle had been acquired and sold several times, it was impossible for investigators to locate fingerprints on it. Amid the deadlock, a police officer proposed monitoring Satchakit's activities, since he remained the leading suspect. While one crew followed Satchakit, another proceeded to explore the murder site for more evidence. At this juncture, a neighbor called Suma Ut Paman suddenly emerged at the police station. No one could have guessed that this testimony would lead to the simplest apprehension of the offender. Suma cautiously stated that before to the killings, Warut Satchakit had sought him for aid in murdering Alan Hogg. However, when realizing that Satchakit also wanted to murder his own sister, Suma quickly rejected. Still, Suma took 25,000 baht from Satchakit and introduced him to two big guys to carry out the horrific crime. The two guys Suma introduced were Pia Kamai, 63, and Kapang Kamman, 24. After hearing Suma Paman's statement, police promptly detained him for helping the crime and deployed officers to catch the three suspects. Suma consented to testify as a witness in return for a lesser sentence. With a cooperative witness, police promptly stormed the suspects' residences and successfully apprehended all three culprits. Warut Satchakit finally confessed to all charges, stating that he was the mastermind behind the killings of his sister and brother-in-law. He stated that he had hired Pia Kamai and Kapang Kamman for 50,000 baht to kill Alan Hogg and his wife Nod Suddaen. Police Chief Sampat Pruta, the official directing the investigation, ordered the three culprits to recreate the incident at the spot. Pia Kamai testified that at about 6 p.m. on September 18, 2018, he and Kapang were escorted inside the property by Satchakit. Pia was directed to go to the rear yard, where he spotted Alan feeding the ducks and shot him twice, killing him. Meanwhile, Kapang discovered Nod in the kitchen, covered her mouth, took her to the garage, and pinned her on the ground. Satchakit then used a wrench to beat his sister on the head repeatedly till she died. The three killers then took Nod's corpse to the duck pen near where Alan had been slain. They used a pickaxe, shovels, and Alan's small excavator to dig a 2-meter-deep hole and push the couple's remains into it. After completing the task, Satchakit stole the family's Ford Ranger pickup and sold it. Based on the trio's confession, authorities retrieved the pistol used to kill Alan, which they had tossed into a stream between Wangchin District and Long District. Warut Satchakit acknowledged that he and his brother-in-law Alan Hogg had differences about how the property was run. Satchakit had been well loved by his sister Nod, who permitted him to construct a little wooden cottage on the couple's huge property. Trusting her brother, Nod nominated Satchakit as the farm's chief gardener. His tasks included tending to the plants, maintaining the orchard, and caring for the chickens and 15 cows. However, throughout his time working on the farm, Alan and Satchakit regularly argued. When Satchakit found that the couple planned to expel him from the land, he got outraged. He thought he had been exploited by his brother-in-law, laboring for almost a decade without getting any reasonable remuneration. When Satchakit wanted remuneration for administering the farm, Alan simply refused. Feeling unfairly handled and upset further by Nod siding with her husband, Satchakit's wrath intensified. This further heightened his wrath, since he knew that if he were evicted, his senior age would make it virtually hard to find another work. Additionally, Satchakit had nowhere to go, since he owned no home and had no children to support him. With the purpose of killing his sister and brother-in-law, Satchakit recruited hitmen to aid him. Lacking the money to pay the hitmen, he came up with the notion of selling the freshly bought vehicle belonging to Alan and Nod. Due to legislative limits on property and company ownership for foreigners, expats residing in Thailand typically register assets under the names of Thai relatives or colleagues. This is why Alan routinely acquired houses under the names of his wife's family members. Being affluent, Alan and his wife purchased several assets, including land and homes, which were filed under Nod's siblings, including Satchakit. Even after Alan and Nod were killed, some of their assets remained in the suspect's name. In fact, the couple's only daughter had even contemplated asking her uncle to assist run the farm if she transferred her parents to live in the UK. Unfortunately, Satchakit wrecked his own future and life in a moment of wrath. After being arrested, Satchakit displayed neither sorrow or regret for his acts. The revelation that Satchakit hired hitmen to assassinate his own sister and brother-in-law stunned the citizens of Phrai province. Nod's uncle, Sanger Sun, 78, stated that he saw her at his shop on the morning of September 18th, and she appeared pleasant. He also added that he had never heard Nod talk poorly of her brother. If there had been any disagreement, she would have likely kept it secret from him and other family. Speaking about Warut Satchakit, Sanger also acknowledged that his nephew was a good and respectable guy. He was astonished to find that Satchakit had paid individuals to assassinate his sister and brother-in-law over a small family quarrel. Prith Suddaen, 61, another uncle of Nod, who lived only a few kilometers away, characterized Warut as a kind-hearted guy. None of the family or neighborhood inhabitants could have suspected that he was the culprit. A year after the killings, on June 3, 2019, the Phrai Provincial Court formally commenced the trial for the murders of Alan and Alan Hogg. Warut Satchakit was revealed as the mastermind who hired hitmen to kill his sister and brother-in-law owing to family problems. Police accused Warut with plotting to commit murder to take Hogg's assets and sell part of them. All three perpetrators, Warut Satchakit, Pia Kamai, and Kapang Kaman, were condemned to death on several crimes. Suma Paman earned a 25-year jail term, reduced by half from the previous 50 years owing to his cooperation with the authorities throughout the investigation. The Phrai Provincial Court termed the murder of the British billionaire as a crime that badly tarnished Thailand's image. Pina Chuen, the victim's family lawyer, indicated that Alan's relatives in the UK were delighted with the court's ruling. However, owing to the harshness and awful nature of the case, they did not want to rehash this sad narrative. The case of the British rich couple killed by their brother-in-law over family problems has officially come to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more content that explores the triumph of justice and the strength of survivors. Together, we can ensure these stories are heard and these lessons are never forgotten.